Have you ever finally reached a place where your bipolar symptoms felt more stable, only to discover you still weren't happy? Maybe you're taking your medication, you're going to therapy, you're making it through the workday. From the outside, people think you're doing, well, great. But inside, you're feeling like you're just existing. You aren't in crisis mode anymore, but you aren't truly living either. If you've ever wondered, is stability all I ever get? I want you to hear this today. No, stability isn't the destination. It's actually just the foundation. Today we're talking about how to rewire your brain for joy beyond the basic bipolar stability. We're going to cover 6 powerful ways you can begin retraining your mind to experience hope, purpose, gratitude, and genuine joy even after years of bipolar depression, anxiety, trauma, or emotional pain. Because my goal isn't simply to help people survive bipolar. My mission through MindFit Empowerment is to help people generally build lives they generally love through living. So let's dive in. Point number 1, your brain learns what you repeatedly practice. One of the most encouraging discoveries I ever made was that learning that our brains are constantly changing. Scientists call it neuroplasticity. I simply call it hope. Your brain is always learning. Every thought, every habit, every routine, and every belief, it's strengthening a pathway in our mind. When you have lived with bipolar for years, your brain often becomes incredibly good at scanning for something we call danger. You start asking questions like, am I becoming manic? What if another depression episode is coming? What if I lose everything again? And I remember living that way. Even on good days, I found myself waiting for something bad to happen. It wasn't because I lacked faith, though. It wasn't because I was weak. It was because my brain had been trained for years and years of just being in that mode of survival. But here's the beautiful truth. If your brain can learn fear, your brain can also learn hope. Every healthy decision is helping build a new pathway. Maybe slowly, but very, very intentionally. So point number 2, joy usually arrives quietly. Many of us expect joy to feel extraordinary, like fireworks, like winning the lottery, like every problem suddenly disappearing in our lives. But that's rarely how joy works. Real joy often whispers. It's sitting on your porch with your morning coffee. It's finishing a run when you didn't feel like getting out of bed. It's hearing your dog screech you after a long day. It's laughing when someone it's laughing with someone who truly knows you. It's reading a verse that reminds you that God hasn't forgotten you. The problem isn't usually that joy is absent. It's that we've become so focused on surviving that we've stopped noticing that joy is actually there. One thing I intentionally practice now is slowing down enough to notice the gifts God has already placed and right there in front of me. Because the more we notice joy, the more our brain begins to search for it. And point number 3, don't let stability become your ceiling. So for a long time, my only goal was simple. I just want to stop hurting. That was an important season in my life, but eventually I had to realize something. If all I ever chased was symptom management, I never actually built the life I wanted. Today I protect my stability with everything, don't get me wrong. I prioritize my sleep, I take my medication, I attend therapy, I exercise, I practice healthy routines, and those things matter tremendously. But now I ask myself some different questions. Am I growing? Am I learning? Am I serving others? Am I becoming the person that God created me to become? One of the greatest sources of joy in my life has become helping other people discover hope through MindFit Empowerment. Purpose has a way of giving stability somewhere meaningful to go. And I believe every single one of us needs something bigger than simply avoiding our next episode. And then point number 4, sometimes rewiring your brain means changing your environment and your relationships. One lesson I had to learn the hard way is this: you can't always heal in the same environment that kept you stuck. So when we think about rewiring our brains, we often think about changing our thoughts, and that's important. But our brains are also being shaped every day by the people around us and the environments we spend our time in. Looking back over my life, I realized that some of the relationships and friendships I held on to weren't helping me heal. Some were unhealthy. Others simply weren't encouraging the person I wanted to become. And as I grew, I had to make some very difficult decisions. I had to let go of certain relationships. Not because those people were bad, but because I needed people around me who encouraged peace instead of chaos, growth instead of negativity, hope instead of fear. And that wasn't easy. Sometimes healing requires grieving relationships that no longer fit where God is leading you. Today, I'm incredibly grateful for the friendships I do have. There are people who encourage me, who pray for me, who celebrate my victories, who challenge me when I need it, and who remind me that who I am when bipolar tries to tell me a different story. I also became intentional about creating a peaceful space around me. One of my personal goals has been organizing my home because I notice clutter increases my anxiety. I protect my sleep. I spend time outdoors. I run. I choose books, podcasts, and voices that encourage growth instead of fear. Because here's what I've learned. Your environment is either reinforcing healing or reinforcing fear. The people around you, the conversations you listen to, the media you consume, the routines that you practice, even the condition of your home. They're all teaching your brain what is normal. So don't just ask, how can I change my thoughts? Also make sure that you're asking, who is helping shape my thoughts? Sometimes protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's one of the healthiest things that you can do for your bipolar stability. And the point number 5, celebrate tiny wins like they're huge wins. Our brains naturally remember failures more than successes, let's face it. That's how we're wired, which means that we have to intentionally celebrate progress. Maybe today you got out of bed. Celebrate it. Maybe you took your medication. Celebrate it. Maybe you exercise. Celebrate it. Maybe you made one healthy meal. Celebrate it. Maybe you apologize after you losing your patience. Celebrate that. Maybe you ask for help. Celebrate that. Those aren't little victories. Those are life-changing habits that you're putting into place. Think about building a house. No one brick seems impressive, does it? But 1,000 bricks creates what? It creates a home. The same is true with healing. Every small, healthy choice is laying another brick. And eventually, you'll look back and realize you built an entirely different life for yourself. And then point number 6, joy grows best when it's shared. Bipolar often whispers one dangerous lie. You should deal with this all alone. I believed that for years. Isolation felt safer, but isolation also kept me trapped. Healing began accelerating when I allowed healthy people into my life. Community didn't erase bipolar. It reminded me that my diagnosis wasn't my identity. Whether it's trusted friends, a therapist, your church, a support group that you go to, or even just one safe person who simply listen. Hope grows when it's shared. You were never meant to carry this all by yourself. If you're listening today and thinking, I don't know if I'll ever experience joy again, I want you to hear this with all of my heart. Your diagnosis is so real. Your struggles are so real, but so is your potential for healing. Joy isn't pretending that bipolar doesn't exist. Joy is learning that bipolar doesn't get to define the rest of your life. Every healthy choice matters. Every boundary that you set, that matters. Every relationship matters. Every routine you create matters. Every act of gratitude, that matters. Every time you choose hope over hopelessness, that matters. You're rewiring your brain as you do those things, little by little, day by day, and one day you realize something incredible. You didn't just become more stable, you became someone who truly knows how to live. And that's why I created MindFit Empowerment, because I believe every person living with bipolar deserves more than just surviving. You deserve purpose. You deserve peace. You deserve healthy relationships. And you deserve joy. And I truly believe your best chapters are still ahead. If this episode encouraged you today, I'd love for you to like, subscribe, and follow MindFit Empowerment wherever you listen to this, if you're on YouTube or in my podcast. If you know someone who's living with bipolar or loves someone who is, please share this episode with them. You never know how one conversation can bring someone the hope they've been searching for. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. What's one small change you can make this week to create more joy in your life? Maybe it's reaching out to a healthy friend, taking a walk, starting a gratitude journal, organizing one room in your home, or simply giving yourself permission to believe that your story isn't over. Thank you so much for spending these moments with me today. Until next time, remember this. You are not defined by your bipolar. You are being refined through your journey. And with every healthy choice you make, you're building a life with greater hope, greater purpose, and greater joy. Together, let's continue to learn how to live beyond bipolar. Until next time, my name's Jen. Be empowered.